The summer that I was 10, can it be there was only one summer that I was 10? It must have been a long one then. Each day I'd go out to choose a fresh horse from my stable, which was a willow grove down by the old canal. I'd go on my 2 bare feet, but when with my brother's jackknife. I had cut me a long, limber horse with a good thick knob for a head, and peeled him slick and clean, except a few leaves for the tail, and cinched my brother's belt around his head for a rein. I'd straddle and canter him fast up the grass bank to the path, trot along in the lovely dust that talcumed over his hoofs, hiding my toes and turning his feet to swift half-moons. The willow knob with the strap jouncing between my thighs was the pommel, and yet the pall of my nickering pony's head. My head and my neck were mine, yet they were shaped like a horse. My hair flopped to the side like the mane of a horse in the wind. My forelocks swung in my eyes. My neck arched and I snorted. I shied and skittered and reared, stopped and raised my knees, pawed at the ground and quivered. My teeth bared as we wheeled and swished through the dust again. I was the horse and the rider, and the leather I slapped to his rump spanked my own behind. Doubled with my 2 hoofs, beat a gallop along the bank. The wind twanged in my mane, my mouth squared to the bit, and yet I sat on my steed quiet, negligent riding, my toes standing the stirrups, my thighs hugging his ribs. At a walk, we drew up to the porch. I tethered him to a paling. Dismounting, I smoothed my skirt and entered the dusky hall. My feet on the clean linoleum left ghostly toes in the hall. "Where have you been?" said my mother. "Been writing," I said from the sink, and filled me a glass of water. "What's in your pocket?" she said. "Just my knife. It weighed my pocket and stretched my dress awry." "Go tie back your hair," said my mother. "And why is your mouth all green?" "Rob Roy, he pulled some clover as we crossed the field," I told her.
So we did the poem The Centaur, and we chose the TP fast method. So first, title. The title is Centaur, and our first impression was that centaur is a combination of man and horse, and both are very strong symbols, so we thought that it would be about a source of strength. And then paraphrase, what is it about? It is about a narrator who recalls a time when she was young, when she could run away from her constraints. And her constraints are both her parents and the mold of femininity.
Okay.
Next is figurative devices, and it starts in summer, which is a symbol for youth, and a rhetorical question, which adds to the introspective tone. And then there's multiple instances of personification, which is useful to highlight the narrator's transformation into a horse. It's also an extended metaphor throughout the whole poem because she's being compared to the horse. The next one is attitude, and you analyze the narrator's tone. And so we already said the first section had an introspective tone. She's looking in on herself. She's looking back at a moment from her past. And then this next section, we said, had a very masculine tone because of words like bare feet, jackknife, straddle, and jouncing. She wants to get out of the feminine mold that her parents and society put her in. Then the next section is in animalistic tone from words like flopped, snorted, skittered, reared, swished, slapped, and gallop, and tethered. And that is to further emphasize her transformation into the horse and to make them become one. And the last section has a disconnected tone, and that is to bring out the contrast with her mother and herself. And you see this in the diction where it says between smoothed, clean, ghostly, and then she says filled me a glass of water, which is sort of incorrect grammar, kind of like uneducated, but you can tell from her clean house with linoleum floors that she's not uneducated. And it also stretched her pocket knife, stretched her dress awry, which is another kind of masculine thing to contrast her mother's wishes of going to tie back her hair. There are multiple shifts in this poem. It starts out with the introspective tone, and then there's a shift to here where it goes to the masculine tone, where she just wants to get out of the feminine restraints, and then it goes to the animalistic tone, so it shifts in between there. My head and my neck were mine, yet they were shaped like a horse. And then it finally shifts when she arrives at her house, and it has a disconnected tone because of her and her mother and their differences. And then the title, again, how our perception has changed. So a centaur is also a combination of man and horse. And so it was more highlighting the man and horse coming together rather than their strength. But it also represented her freedom and getting away from all of her problems. Finally, the theme of the whole poem is about escaping and freedom. So we said that when you are feeling constrained, you look to a source of freedom to escape.